Hey y'all, it's Amanda, the head of client success here at Reach. I use she, her pronouns, and today I am going to be giving you a full walkthrough of the Reach user facing app. So, Reach is both a native app for iOS and Android, as well as a web app you can just access through your browser. But today we are going to be going through the mobile app. So, what you see here on my phone is the initial join a campaign screen. So anybody can download the Reach app and make an account, but the fun only starts when you're added to your campaign to start organizing. And so you can become a member of a Reach campaign a few different ways. One way is through by using an invite link or an invite code that your campaign or organization will provide to you. So you can click that link to get into the campaign or enter in the code. And so my campaign's giving me an invite code, so I can use the join a campaign button, enter in that code, and then tap Join Campaign to become a member of my Targaryen for Westeros campaign here. And so in this case, I am helping my candidate Dany, who is running for Queen of the Iron Throne. Reach campaigns are totally custom and up to you. We have tons of organizations using Reach for nonpartisan work or issue-based organizing. So you'll be able to see when you get into your organization's Reach campaign, either candidate work, nonpartisan work, whatever makes the most sense for them. And so once I've joined my campaign and I'm super excited to be here, I can actually go ahead and start sharing the fun, inviting some other users by tapping my user profile in the top right and using the invite user button where I can enter in the phone number of somebody I want to get into this Reach campaign and inviting them to join. Also here in this user drawer, I can see that I can edit my basic user profile. So if I tap my name at the top, it'll pull up my user profile where I can edit any basic information in my account, like my email address, or importantly, what language I'm going to see the Reach app in. And so now that I'm here in the Targaryen campaign, I'm excited, ready to start organizing. And the first thing I see is this home screen. And so the home screen is basically your digital organizing hub or your action feed for everything your campaign or organization wants you to do. And so there's three different tabs you'll see at the top, as well as a ton of action cards that could be resources, tasks, events that you're going to do to help further this organizing work. And so I'm going to start with the very first action card I see here, which is just a basic post. So I can tap this post to see a full screen version. And so in this case, the post is a policy overview of how this candidate feels about dragon rights. For nonpartisan GOTV work, you might see a summary of why turning out the vote is so important in your election, or a summary of an issue. This is totally customizable, so you'll see different sections here, even hyperlinks, fully formatted like you would a website. And so now that I've learned all about Dany's views on dragon rights, which will be so helpful later when I'm talking to voters, I want to head back out to the home screen to see what else I can do to kind of keep organizing for my campaign. And the next thing I can do here is say hi to the team. So this next action card is a little more powerful because you can actually interact with it. So at the bottom of the action card is this blue button, which we call a call to action button, that I can tap to do a bunch of different things, go to different places inside or outside of Reach. In this case, the call to action button at the bottom will take me over to our chat channel. And so chat here is a fully functional chat channel. You can have emoji reactions to messages or even at mentions that you can see. We also have the ever important Giphy embed that you can use to send GIFs to everyone you're talking about. And we have tons of people who use chat to do things like coordinate volunteers in the middle of a canvas, or team building exercises, or even provide support to their volunteers. So maybe I would ask an organizer in chat if I had a question about something. So this is a great place to really engage with my fellow users. But let's say after talking to all the other organizers on my team, I'm so excited, and now I want to get out and start talking to voters. So I'm going to head back to the home screen to see what my campaign has for me to do in terms of voter contact. And our very next action card here is just that. So there's an action card here where I can sign up to join a canvas at the Great Sept, go out and talk to some voters. And so this action card also has a call to action button, but instead of taking me to another screen in Reach, it's taking me outside of the app. In this case, to mobilize to sign up for an event, these action cards can take you to any website. So it might take you to your campaign website, or your organization website, or even a donation page. And you'll notice that this action card also has another attribute, which is that I can mark it off as completed. So this is called a task, something I can check off once I'm done. So now that I've RSVP'd, I can earn some really awesome action points, which we'll get into more later for having signed up for this event. And so now that I've signed up for the event, I'm excited I get to go talk to voters. And let's say it's the day of the canvass. I show up ready to start organizing with the rest of my team at the Great Sept. I can go ahead and head over to my search screen, which is where I'll spend that whole canvas. So search in Reach is really powerful. It allows you to look up any voter in your campaign or organization's voter file. So it might be just one campaign district, or it might be the whole state, depending on your work. And you can find a voter with as little information as a last name or a partial address. So I'm out talking to voters, and this woman, catelyn Stark, comes up to me. She's so stoked about our work. I can go ahead and type her last name Stark here into the search bar and see a list of all of the registered voters in my Game of Thrones world with that last name Stark. And so I can tap her name to get into her profile page where I can learn a little more about catelyn. So I see some basic information about her here at the top, an age range and an address. There's a tag section here where I can mark important information about catelyn. So tags are totally custom to your organization. So in this case, I can mark catelyn as a petition signer, or maybe someone who needs to update their registration. These will totally be up to your organization. And then below that is a basic details section as well, where I can learn more information about catelyn, like her registration information, her districts, her voting history. If you're in an electoral campaign like me, you'll see that party registration information. But if you're doing C3 work, nonpartisan work, that registration information section will be there. And then the next section here, our primary survey question, is whatever my organization's most important ask is. And so in this case, since I'm volunteering for Danny, it's a candidate question with a support scale of 1 to 5. This question is totally custom and can be anything you'd like. So all the different campaigns and organizations you're organizing for, you probably have some different questions here. And so when catelyn tells me she is super excited about Danny, can't wait to help, I can go ahead and mark her as a 1. I'm going to skip the relationship and contact information section, come back to those a little later, because I want to go ahead and answer the rest of my survey questions. So these will be the most important questions your campaign or organization wants you to ask voters. There's a couple of different types here, like a single choice where you can pick one option, or a multiple choice where you can pick a few from the list, yes/no questions, open text questions like notes fields. These long text questions are really, really great for deep canvassing, as well as issue-based questions, which can be some numerical scale questions as well. And so now that I've had this really great canvassing conversation with catelyn, she's engaged and excited, there's a couple of things I can do to kind of follow up on this, keep the momentum going. One of which is add a relationship with catelyn. So later on, I'm going to show you how to import your contacts and build out your own list of voters that you know personally. But if you want catelyn to be part of your own personal network to follow up with later on, maybe during GOTV or for a volunteer ask, you can add catelyn to your network and pick from the list of custom relationship types your organization has made. So I'm going to mark her as a new friend that I've met while canvassing. I can also add contact information for catelyn. So I can go ahead and get in touch with her and continue this work. And let's say while I've been having this conversation with catelyn, I learned that she actually prefers to go by Katie. So I can go ahead and add that nickname in for catelyn as well by using this More button at the top of the screen. And so you'll see there's a few different options here for things like editing address, marking someone as deceased, or editing a name or adding a nickname. And so the difference between these two functions is that when I edit a name, I'm actually changing the first name of that voter as it appears all throughout the Reach app. So for example, if you're interacting with a voter who is trans and the legal name listed in the voter file is actually a dead name, you're able to override their first name. So their real first name is what appears all throughout Reach whenever somebody looks them up. Or you can also add a nickname. So if I want to add something that's personal just to me, like changing catelyn to be Katie, I can go ahead and put that nickname in here as well. And so now that I've wrapped up this great conversation, I want to follow up with catelyn right now. I want to ask her if she'll join our canvassing shift tomorrow or see if she'll donate to my cause. And so I can follow up with catelyn by using the message button at the top. And it'll pull up a list here that says choose a script, where I can pick from contact scripts, pre-filled messages my organization has made that I can use while following up with a voter. These contact scripts will have variables in them, so it'll pre-fill the voter's first name, or in this case, her nickname, Katie, or other details about the voter from the voter file. And when you go to use the script, you'll have an option that says message using. So one is to send just a normal text, So I'm sending Catelyn a text straight from my own phone number to her. So this is one of those really ideal grassroots interactions, right? I'm going to build a one-on-one relationship with Katie that will hopefully, carry on beyond this campaign into future organizing work. Or I can message people from another app. So if I use the send via other app option, I can pick from Signal, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever I have on my phone to message them there instead. And so now that Catlyn's engaged and excited, there's a few other things I can do to kind of make sure we get the most of this interaction. One is invite her as a user. So if one of the things Catlyn says is that she wants to volunteer, I want to get her into Reach, I can use the invite user button at the top of the screen to invite her into Reach. And then I can also go ahead and make sure that since Catlyn's excited, her whole household is engaged too by using this household search button. So I can see a house icon on the right with a number 3 in it that I can tap to see every registered voter here in Catlyn's household. And you'll notice that everyone has some colored bars next to their name. And so this colored bar corresponds to our primary survey question. So Catlyn and Aria were both big supporters of my candidate, so they have happy green bars. Edard here is undecided, so he has a yellow bar. If somebody's not a fan, they'd have a red bar. And so I've had this awesome conversation with Catlyn. I'm continuing to go out and talk to more voters, which is so exciting. But let's say that in one of these conversations, you find somebody who isn't in your voter file. Maybe that's somebody who just graduated and hasn't registered to vote yet now that they're able, or they moved to the area and aren't registered in our district. So anytime I'm having one of those conversations with somebody who's not a voter, I can still add them into Reach by creating what's called a Reach ad. So I can tap this big blue plus at the bottom of the screen to bring up a screen here where I can add somebody brand new into Reach. So I can fill in their name, their address, their contact information. They'll get a separate tag that says they're a Reach ad, so I can easily differentiate this person from someone who's already a registered voter. I can add them to my network, answer tons of survey responses. So even though this person isn't a registered voter, maybe I can follow up with them with some voter reg information, get them engaged and excited. And so I've finished up my canvassing shift. I've had tons of great interactions with voters, even found a few new people who I want to hopefully get registered. And so I'm still really excited. I want to do some more work for my campaign. So I'm going to head back to the home screen to see what I can do to follow up now that I've finished my shift. And so back on the home screen, my next action here is now to start rallying my friends. So I can build out my own personal list of voters that I know in Reach and get in touch with them through one of these action cards here. So this action card is pre-filled with a contact script, one of those pre-filled messages that I can message out to my whole network by tapping send next to each person in my personal network. But you'll notice that there's only one person here, Katie, who I added into my network from the canvas earlier. And that's because I haven't actually imported any of my contacts yet. So the way contact import works in Reach is that if you're using your phone, you can import your phone contacts. If you're using Reach on the web, you can import your Google contacts to build out a whole list of voters that you know that you can engage with about the campaign. So you might hear this commonly referred to as relational organizing. It's one of Reach's specialties where you can engage and get excited the people that you already are talking to in your everyday lives. And so when I go to import my contacts, it'll pull up my phone's whole contact list. And at this point, I'm just picking who I want to search for. So I might want to throw in my whole contact list, do one big bulk search against the voter file, and let Reach do the work for me of showing me who might have a match in the district. Or I can select specific people. So you can type to filter by any attribute you have on your phone, like area code to select all of those people, or somebody's name to find them as well. And so when you go to search for matching voters, you'll get a search results screen here. So I'll see all of my contacts there on the left and the number of possible matches in my campaign's district on the right. So we're not matching against the national voter file, we're matching against your campaign's own data for their district or their state, depending on the organizing setup. And so I can validate that the match is right by tapping one of my contacts to pull up a match preview screen. So anytime you're importing a contact into Reach, you'll validate the match is correct by looking at the possible matches of your contact at the top. And in this case, Cersei's pretty easy. There's only one Cersei Lannister, and I can confirm she's correct. But sometimes you might have multiple matches, and it's really, really important for your campaign or organization to have these accurate matches as you're going through. In the contact information section, I can select which information I want to import. So I have really good control over privacy here. I can remove some contact information. And then I'll also pick how I know Cersei at the end, where I can pick from the custom relationship types that my campaign has made. We saw those earlier when we were canvassing catelyn. And now when I tap add to my network, that's when it actually imports the contact, takes me straight into the next person to do the same thing. So your data only goes into reach once you actually tap that add to my network button. And so I'll do all of my contacts the same way. If you ever find somebody you know you don't want to talk to or you want to come back to later, you can use the skip button. And the reason we have you always confirm that you found the right person is that a lot of the time there's going to be more than one choice. So Bobby Baratheon here could either be Bob or Robert. So I'll have to pick the right person that I know from here. And sometimes you won't find a match at all, which is totally fine. That's expected, right? It could be that I have a weird nickname in my phone, like T-Lan, and I want to go ahead and type in my friend's full name. But we also might not find somebody for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier, like somebody having just moved here and not being a registered voter, or perhaps somebody who lives in the district but isn't a voter but still a constituent and their voice matters to our issue. And so in this case, I found Tyrion, but if I didn't, if it was one of those situations I just mentioned, I could use this add as a new person button to create what's called a reach ad, like we did earlier during that in-person canvas. So I can still do that straight from contact import. And so now that I've added all of my contacts here in, when I head back out to my action card, instead of having just catelyn there, I have all of my contacts that I've imported that I can message about the campaign. So I can go to tap the send button next to one of my contacts and get in touch with them. Once I send that message, the send button on the right-hand side will turn from blue to green, so I can see who I've personally messaged within this action card. And then I can even start recording survey responses from here as well. So if Jon Snow replies to my message and says, of course, he's going to vote for Dany, I can tap his name to pull up his voter profile, mark down a survey response, and keep moving through to get to all of the people here in my contact list. And so once I finish talking to all of my friends, doing some awesome relational outreach, I'm done talking to voters for now, but I still want to do some more work to help out my campaign. And so the last thing I can do is this final action card type, which is about posting to social media. So this action card is pre-filled with a post and a link that I can share across my own social media platforms. So I can tap to share. It'll pull up my phone's own social media apps. So for example, I could head to Twitter and get a pre-filled tweet. I can even personalize it before sending and send that out. If I actually did send that tweet, I would be able to earn points for it, which I would see rack up in the card right here. And so once I've earned points for this, in addition to earning points for importing my contacts and a ton of the points that I earned earlier for signing up for the event, I can see where all of that stacks up by heading over into my ranking screen. And so this is where we really gamify it. This is a running leaderboard for your campaign where you can swap between different time spans or different organizing goals. So right now I'm on the action points leaderboard, all those points I've earned from all those canvassing tasks on the home screen. But I could swap to see the number of people surveyed, to see who's canvassed the most people from those shifts, or maybe users added if we're recruiting volunteers. I want to see if I've recruited the most people. And some organizations might give out prizes to people at the top of the leaderboard, or swag, or maybe pizza to the person who canvasses the most after one of those shifts. And so it's a really fun way to engage and hopefully get a little friendly juices, competitive juices flowing. And after all of this work, talking to all of these voters, if I ever want to check back on somebody that I've spoken to, I can always do that by heading over into my reach. So on the left-hand side, I'll see my network, all of those voters that I've added to my personal list that I want to follow up with. But I also have a history tab that shows me every single person I've canvassed in reach, whether they started from my network or not. So if I canvassed a bunch of people who aren't in my network, I can scroll back through and find them. I can tap into somebody to see more information about them, like Tywin here. I could always follow up with, maybe add him into my network and make sure that next time I'm sending out a round of texts, get in touch with him too. And so now that I've done all this work for my campaign, which is so exciting, if I ever want to start organizing for another campaign too, maybe they give me an invite code to join their reach, I can always join an additional campaign from my campaign screen that I can tap on the left. So I can use that join a campaign button at the bottom, enter an invite code, and then join an additional campaign. You could swap back and forth between which campaign you're organizing for to make sure you're doing all of that work for the great causes you love. And one last thing that you'll notice here in the screen as well is that my campaign has a button that says offline data available. So up until this point, I've been doing all of my canvassing work while I've been connected to the internet. But what if you're organizing in a rural area that has bad data coverage, or you're in one of those buildings that's a dead zone? So you can use Reach's offline mode to continue the canvas even when you're not connected to the internet by downloading an offline data set. So your campaign or organization will make these offline data sets that you can download into your phone, basically like a Netflix movie. And so you can use your phone and do a full voter file search, record survey responses, contact information for people, even while offline. And the next time you're back and connected to the internet, all of that data will sync up right away to your campaign or organization. And so this is kind of the full tour of the functionality of Reach. We've covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much for joining me. We have tons of cool stuff in the works. So if you ever think of a feature that you might like to see in Reach, you can add that to our feedback page at feedback.reach.vote and tell us all about what you'd love to see. If you have questions, you can contact us at support@reach.vote. And we'd be happy to give you some more information. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and I will hopefully see all of you very soon out in the field.